Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you're all having an amazing day. So for today's video, I wanted to share with you one of my all-time favorite fall winter recipes, and it is a butternut squash soup recipe. I've been making this recipe for years. It never fails to hit the spot, but don't just take my word for it. Try it out for yourself, and if you do, leave a comment in the comments down below and let me know what you think. So for this recipe, you will need either 2 1.5 pound butternut squashes or 1 3-pound butternut squash, 2.5 tablespoons of coconut oil, 1 head of garlic, 1 onion, 3.5 cups of chicken, vegetable, or beef stock, half a cup of coconut cream, 1 to 2 teaspoons of dried rosemary, a pinch of nutmeg, salt and pepper, and 4 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. This is optional. So first you want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Wash your butternut squash, cut it in half, and remove all the seeds. My camera was off while I was doing this, so unfortunately I don't have the video of it. Using a knife, score the flesh horizontally and vertically. Then cut a head of garlic in half and rub the squash with it. Coat your squash with a tablespoon of coconut oil. Now season the squash with rosemary, salt, and pepper. Place the garlic halves inside the squash. So if you have multiple squashes, just separate the garlic into quarters and then place that inside the squash. Place the squash onto a baking tray and put in the oven for about an hour. The roasting time will depend on the size of your squash and your oven settings. To check if the squash is ready, insert a knife into the thickest part of the squash. It should easily slide in all the way through. When your squash is done, remove the garlic and scoop the flesh out. This ended up getting really messy for me, so I just fast forwarded it until I was done. So now scoop the squash into a blender. You're probably going to need to do this in sections. I'm using a Vitamix which has one of these sticks to help push it down. If you don't have one, that's fine. You're just going to need to stop the blender every so often and mix the mixture around until it gets to a consistency where it blends more easily. So I'm just scooping it out and putting in another portion. So moving on to the next step, in a large pot that's big enough to hold your soup, add 1.5 tablespoons of coconut oil, chop up your onion, and put it into the pot. Cook the onion for 3 to 4 minutes over medium heat. Add 3 to 5 roasted garlic cloves to the pan. Now I'm just grating some fresh nutmeg, but you can also use the nutmeg that's already ground. I do feel like it gives a more intense flavor if you use the fresh one. So now I'm just adding the nutmeg to the pot and seasoning with salt and pepper. Add the butternut squash puree to the pot and nutritional yeast if you decide to use it. Now pour in the stock of your choosing. I chose to go with chicken stock. And then stir well. Lower the heat to a simmer for 10 to 12 minutes. Now adding the coconut cream and cooking for another 5 minutes. Once that's done, start blending the soup in batches. Be really careful, you may want to wait until it cools down a little bit. So again, blend each portion until it's a smooth consistency. Once you're done, put your soup into a bowl and reheat as needed. And your soup is done. So for garnish, I like to add cream or coconut cream, but this is totally optional. And I also like to add some finely chopped parsley.
Really good.